Hello. Today I want to walk you through some selecting in your Photoshop app. So here I am in the app. I'm opening up a picture, which is what I want you to do. So I have this nice picture of my wall hanging, which I've been working with, but you can see I'm going to switch to the paintbrush here just for a second so that you can see my thought process. Um, this is my main focal point, but there's other undesirable aspects that I want to get rid of. So there's not really an effective crop tool going on here. Here are the selecting tools. You can see that they're pretty similar, but a little bit different. This one's called the Smart Selection. It's a lot like the Quick Selection. So I chose that, and as I'm going, you can see you can expand the size or change the size with the little number indicator. So I've got it kind of in the middle. I'm working on it. I can pinch to zoom in. You can change if it's a hard edge or a soft edge. So when I got down here where it's soft and willowy, I did that. Now, I wanted you to know that I'm doing this tutorial with my finger on my iPad because that's what you guys are using for the most part, I believe. So it was a pain, but I really did want to do that with my finger like you are. So now when I'm navigating up to the top, you can see I'm playing around with it. It's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There is some that you can do by adjusting. You can see they adjusted the size of my brush. Also, you see that yellow, or excuse me, that lighter circle? If you press that on your iPad, it'll toggle back and forth between add to and subtract. Oh, okay, so do you see how it jumped outside to select everything? I use my undo up in the upper right there arrow to just go back. Now I'm zooming in, trying to get some of those finer details. You want your selection to be as good as it can be, but it's okay if it's not perfect because the next step is that we're going to apply a mask, and you can do also a lot of work on the mask, okay? So, and I think you might have better luck, honestly, because it's not quite so finicky, is what I think, with your finger especially, or if you're just using a regular stylus and not a paintbrush, then working on the mask is probably going to be less frustrating. At least to, I think so, because the selection tools with just your finger, it's kind of like using a mouse. It's like that level of frustration. So, like if you're using some of the best tools like an iPad Pro with a beautiful mouse, excuse me, with a beautiful Apple Pencil, then maybe it's less frustrating, but most of you aren't. So, do the best you can with your selection, and then you can do more in the mask. So you can see like here, I was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I was finally like, okay, forget this because it was too annoying. But that's okay. So we get in there and you're adding and subtracting to your selection like you've learned in good old Photoshop, which I miss dearly, by the way. So I'm like checking it out, trying, you can see I'm on the left-hand side, just trying to get more of the fuzzy macrame stuff. It was like, it was getting pretty frustrating. And I decided to do my best to get it, but like I really was kind of hitting a wall there, which also my iPad was kind of lagging. I hadn't rebooted my iPad in quite a while, so I did that. I also made sure all my apps were closed because Photoshop, I think, is kind of a big draw on your iPad. So I came back down here, tried to fluff that up a little bit, and it went out again. So I think this is where I decided, yeah, no more of that. Just going to go right to the mask. So you can see it's skimming around the edge. The marching hands are, it was getting really bad. So, okay. Just taking a look here, making sure that things are selected decently. Then I think, yep, then I come over to the side and I click on the mask, which is the rectangle with the black circle on it. And you can see that it's blocked out everything in the background, which is really awesome. Now, on that mask, I can choose a black paintbrush, which is also customizable. Black reveals, white conceals. Okay, so wherever you paint black, and I'm zooming way in and I'm experimenting with how I can get rid of more of the picture with the black paintbrush, because now you can get down, I'm down to like an 18 pixel brush, and I can get in there. I have a fuzzy edge to work well with my fuzzy yarn stuff. Oh, look at that. I'm down to a 1 pixel brush, and I decide that is too scratchy and gross. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Okay, so this is all about playing. You can rotate your canvas. You can um, zoom in and out in any direction. This part should be pretty fun as you experiment, okay? If you go too far or you get rid of something that you don't intend to, you can use your undo button, or you can paint back in, remember, with white. We had just started to use masks in a pretty significant way. We were using them with the blended artwork. So go ahead and try that. So here I pushed on those, the more buttons, you know, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'll try pressure for opacity, but I think it was just remembering my, my Apple Pencil, because that doesn't really work with your finger. And then I was looking at the layer mode and stuff like that. Those things do not work with your finger that I could tell. See, I was trying it and I don't, well, maybe a little. I don't know. You're going to have to experiment with that. But what does work is what I tried next, which is to simply click on that black slider. And this is the flow. So if you don't want to erase all the way through or apply your paintbrush all the way through, is what I'm really saying, which is what I was going for, which is to come in and adjust the flow of the paintbrush so that you're only erasing, so to speak, halfway or part way or whatever, so that it'll basically kind of fade in and fade out, so you don't have overly crisp edges. And that's what I wanted. Okay, so just to show you what this looks like, I added a new layer over here on the right, in case you missed that. It's the square with a plus in it. I have a new layer. Now I want to fill it. You could use a paintbrush or a gradient. So now I'm picking colors in my little 2 circles there. I picked a green and a purple. And now I'm using the gradient, so I'm going to zoom out. Now I'm going to draw a line with my finger from one corner to the other. Beautiful, covered it right up. So now I'm going to use my layer finger in my layer to drag it below. That looks nice. Okay, I like that. This work is not done. I remember when I do an example like this, it's a total hack job just to give you an idea. Okay, not croppable at this point, so I'm going to transform. The transform was the one that looks like dots on the corner with a weird shape in the middle. So I rotated it, I'm stretching it. I mean, this is just one way to monkey with the size and stuff, okay? And then you would go, but you would be doing a much better job making your selections, getting in there, either making better selections or getting in there and painting. So I put my opacity up, or my flow, I should say. Get in there and clean things up. See how I went over a little bit? You wouldn't want to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what your assignment is. At the minimum is to bring in 1 photograph and select it, make a mask, put it on a mask, fix up the mask, add a background. You could bring in more than 1, because that's eventually where we would be going, is making composites with more than 1 photo. So give it a shot. Definitely put that up in the student folder on the team drive, your attempt, and do the self-eval on Google Drive. Have fun.